Hello, everyone. I got SKINAMARINK'd. I really have no other way to start this video other than just like getting right into this damn near traumatic movie for me. I've never been good with horror movies in theaters, even for like the worst ones, like one of the Insidious sequels I saw in theaters. It wasn't that good, and it wasn't that scary. However, it still got me. And like just I've never been good with horror in movie theaters. So when I had heard about this little analog horror inspired movie called Skinamarink was going in the theaters for a limited run, I went with a buddy of mine to go see it in theaters because I was excited about it. I went into it blind, and yeah, yeah, no, seriously. Uh, it really helped seeing this movie in a theater. Back when I first saw it, I'm pretty sure I saw it at the end of January or the beginning of February. I'm not entirely sure, but for the sake of this video, I rewatched it just to like have it fresh in my head for talking about it. Anyway, Skinamarink is a low budget horror film, and it's about these two little kids, and they're living in this house, and for some reason these things keep disappearing and reappearing, like their doors and windows. And in a scene, a toilet keeps reappearing and disappearing, and it keeps happening to this little family, and eventually it just sticks on to the two kids, who I believe is a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. I know the one we focus on the most, Kevin, is 4. I did not catch how old Kaylee is at the time. So if that can be corrected, that would be good. But I do know Kaylee is the oldest of the two kids. If that sounds like not too bad for you, like when I talk about it, uh, its presentation and its visuals is what's dividing a lot of people on this. There are a lot of static shots. There's not even a bunch of dialogue either, and when there is dialogue, it's either mumbled, and there actually are subtitles in the movie in a couple of scenes, but there's barely any dialogue in this, and at least for me, it really helped me just get like engulfed into this movie, and just it was such an immersive experience, but also in a theater, and but also just watching it on TV as well. It was really, really immersive to me. I guess the best comparison I can give for the presentation of this is I think, in a lot of ways, it's similar to the Blair Witch Project, but I'm going to pull mainly from the last shot of the Blair Witch Project, where he's standing in the corner and the camera falls, and you just see that one shot and it flickers a little bit. Imagine something like that for like an hour and 40 minutes, because I think that's how long that this movie is. Imagine that for a feature length movie. It's gonna turn a lot of people off of that just for how weird the presentation is. It didn't do that for me, honestly. I was fully in on it, mainly in theaters, but also watching it at home. And I really think that's the testament of a good horror movie, at least it is to me, that just you are standing like you're there with the 4-year-old Kevin. Which I need to get to that, because I I don't know behind the scenes of this movie, other than it had a very low budget. But the fact that I don't know how much acting went into this, for the child actors, they did a really good job in this, especially Kevin. By the time it gets just to Kaylee and Kevin, it's just them. It's like there is one point where the parents are not there, and it is just the two of them, and it really just kept leveling up the tension and everything, and it was incredibly well done. I should also note that most of this is from the point of view of Kevin. I'm not gonna no spoilers in this review, so that's why I'm saying it's mostly from the point of view of Kevin. But you never see a face in this. It's either there's this grain effect on the screen, so if there is a face, you can't make out any details, or the characters' faces are just not in the shot. I should also just point out this is probably one of the scariest movies I've seen probably ever. It getting I'm glad I got to watch this again, mainly because I can actually like sit down and think, why did this scare me so much? Because there was a point when I saw this in theaters and I was just shell shocked about this entire experience. And I think I figured it out what the hell this movie's doing to me. And that's just tapping into that just like childhood fear, and just having like that really weird nightmare as a little kid that you could never explain. Like I had that weird nightmare. I'm just gonna say it because I don't even think it's scary now, but it was, oh my god, the one nightmare I consistently had when I was like maybe 5 or 6 years old is Andros from Star Fox. It's that weird white face with the red eyes, and he's just like talking. And I found that to be the weirdest and scariest thing to me. And I don't know how this movie did it, but it tapped into that for me. And once once I realized what this was, it did not let me go for like the last 90 minutes because this movie had me in a chokehold of just overall fear and terror. And I don't think any movie has done that for me, in at least in a very long time. And I guess that this all has to go to the director, Kyle Edward Ball. Man, you, you got some good shit going on here, man. Like I don't know what your future is. I remember even coming across your YouTube channel when the bite sized nightmares, like a while ago when that was still going. I'm not sure if it's going now, but I remember coming across it and it was really good shit. And I didn't know that this was the same guy going into it. And honestly, I was just really impressed. I don't think I have any notes for this. Yeah, Skinamarink, I think, will go down at, well, hopefully, in my opinion, will go down as pretty innovative for the horror genre in general. Bringing something that's pretty niche, like analog horror, pulling from those influences and putting them in a movie, and that's doing well. It did pretty well for a movie that was like $15,000 budget. It did pretty well for such a low budget movie, and that like such a weird movie is in like the mainstream now. It's really incredible to see such an odd and experimental film just be clicking with this amount of people. Whether it's like people that didn't like it, which I don't blame you if you don't like it, but like, if you like it, if you don't like it, people are talking about this movie. And quite frankly, I think that's awesome. I've loved this kind of horror content that's been on YouTube. I'm gonna be honest, I can't believe it made a successful jump to feature-length films and is actually playing in big movie theaters. So I think that's very huge. This is a huge win for horror, in my opinion. If it didn't sound like it already, I'm pretty sure I'm giving Skinamarink a 10 here. Just across the board, fantastic. I'm genuinely speechless at this, and whatever Kyle Edward Ball does next, I'm very excited about. Whatever happens, no matter what he does, I will be there for it at this point. So those are my thoughts on Skinamarink. It's streaming on the streaming service Shudder, so if you have AMC Plus, you can get it through that. It's also going to be getting a physical Blu-ray release at some point this year, I think. It hasn't been specifically like said when, but there is a physical release in the works right now. So I'm gonna tell you this: have you seen Skinamarink? Do you agree with me on this? Did you think it was a pile of shit? Did you think it was a masterpiece? Let me know either way, and we can get that conversation going. Again, subscribe if you haven't already. I feel like I really don't say it that much, but subscribe if you haven't, if you like this kind of content. Let me know what you think of Skinamarink if you've seen it, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.